Massive tank losses of the Russian army, support for Ukraine increases. Hello, the Pioneer viewers. The Russia-Ukraine war remains on our agenda. We quickly bring you news from the front line. Soldiers are the ones who knows the best effect of the destruction and psychological depression brought by the war. As long as the morale and motivation of the soldiers remain strong, the success rate in the war is high. However, troops that are weak in terms of the morale and motivation cannot show their presence at the front. War is a multifaceted and multidimensional reality. States need to be aware of their own strength before deciding to wage the war. The states with problems in planning and organization suffer losses on the battlefield. The capacity of military units is an important indicator for the balance of power in war. Especially the number of vehicles and weapons is an important criterion for the modern armies to meet the needs in high-intensity conflicts. We can see the importance of the number of vehicles and weapons in the Russian-Ukrainian war. A long time has passed since Russia's invasion attempt against Ukraine. In the war that has been going on for almost 2 years, Russia has not been able to put up a strong resistance against the Ukrainian defense. The Ukrainian defense managed to hold the Russian army back. With the Ukrainian army launching a counterattack, the balance in the war has completely changed. At the same time, the Russian army suffered heavy losses. Although the losses of the Russian army are based on the various reasons, the most important reason stands out as the strategic attacks of the Ukrainian army. The strategic attacks of the Ukrainian army are aimed at demoralizing the Russian army and causing material damage. The news that emerged in recent days shows that the Russian army suffered serious losses in the number of tanks. How Russia, which has lost its tanks throughout the war, will find a solution that has been a subject of discussion. Another development was also related to Ukraine's F-16 process. Ukraine's support from European countries continues to increase. Now, if you are ready, let's examine the tank losses of the Russian army and Ukraine's F-16 developments together. As the Pioneer, we continue to convey the Russia-Ukraine war to you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all your comments on our videos. Please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments. Tell us in the comments what content you would like to see on the Pioneer channel. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. According to the news that emerged in the past days, the investigation on the Russian soldiers occupying the territory of Ukraine have been concluded. According to Kiev officials, Russian troops have lost more than 6,000 tanks in nearly 2 years of war. It was known that Russia had reached high figures in military losses. However, heavy war equipment such as helicopters and tanks caused very high costs. The undisciplined and careless behavior of the soldiers continues to create problems for Russia. The Ukrainian armed forces said the other day that Moscow has lost 6,002 main battle tanks since February 2022. That includes 12 losses in the last 24 hours, according to Ukraine's military command. The figures shows that Russia's tanks losses and wears and tears throughout the war. According to the military experts, Russia had 1,800 operational main battle tanks at the beginning of the 2023. About 10 months after the start of the total war, there have been significant losses in the Russian equipment and the vehicles, including some of the most modern equipment, especially in armored combat vehicles, military expert says. Russia has lost about half of its pre-war T-72 tank fleet and most of its later models T-80s, experts said. He also added that Moscow has to replace these lost vehicles with old equipment. Russia is reportedly removing old tanks from storage and upgrading others. These older tanks, such as T-55, would be far less effective against Ukrainian troops than newer, more advanced and better maintained military vehicles, experts said. In June 2023, report revealed that Russian forces used the mothballed tanks as vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. Military analysts say Russia started making mistakes early. They say that Russia's high casualties are due to the failures in the organizations and planning and poor training. Low morale in the troops and breaks in the chain of command are also part of the problem. The problems in the Russian army continue to this day. The Russian army is trying to find new ways to meet the needs for the troops, but Putin, who does not have the support of people, Is it the losses what to do? The morale of the Russian people is plummeting because of the war. The people see Putin as responsible for the economic difficulties and psychological collapse caused by the war. Putin is trying to improve his image in the eyes of the public before the upcoming elections. While the agenda in Russia continues to be active, another important statement was made for Ukraine. There was another new developments regarding the F-16 fighter jets of the Ukrainian army. Belgium also made statements for Ukraine by getting involved in the F-16 process. Belgium announced that it will send 2 fighter jets and dozens of training personnel to support Ukrainian defense. Belgium's F-16s will be stationed in Denmark for 2 8-week periods between the March and September, with around 50 instructors intended to help train Kiev's pilots, technicians, and mission planners. The news comes a day after Norwegian Defense Minister Brian Arild Gram announced that his country was sending 2 of its US-made jets to assist the F-16 program in Denmark. Kiev is expected to receive dozens of F-16s from Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway over the next year. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asked for F-16s for the month before the Western allies reach an agreement to donate the aircraft. Experts says the fighter jets would create new opportunities for Kiev's forces to threaten Russia's air superiority. Ukraine's defense ministry announced last month that Kiev's first batch of pilots had completed a basic training program in the United Kingdom and were continuing training with fighter jets in Denmark. The inclusion of fighter jets in the Ukrainian army is expected to give it greater firepower. The Ukrainian army, which has followed a hit-and-run tactic since the first days of the war, will further strengthen its strategy with fighter jets. The Ukrainian army, which gives Russian troops a hard time with the air operation and missile operations, continues to be a source of confidence for its country. With the latest announcement, the countries supporting Ukraine have become clearer. Allied countries which support the Ukrainian army in terms of equipment, resources, money, as well as training and technical support are making preparations against the Russian threat in Ukraine. How do you evaluate the tank losses of the Russian army? What do you think is the reason for such a high losses of the Russian army throughout the war? What do you think about the Ukrainian army's operations? Do you think the Ukrainian army's firepower will increase thanks to F-16 fighter jets? We care about your opinion. Please share it with us.